Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're going deep on something pretty amazing. Polypodium Leucotomos, PLE for short.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever heard of an internal sunscreen pill?
Interesting, right?
It is, and it may do even more than protect against sunburn, possibly helping with melasma and vitiligo.
Lots to unpack there.
Definitely. So I've got an expert here to help us navigate this.
Yeah.
What makes PLE so special in the world of skin health?
Well, this extract, it comes from this tropical fern. And it has a history of use for skin issues, traditionally. But what's really cool is that modern research, it's suggesting PLE may have some, really potent antioxidant properties.
Okay, antioxidant properties, that's a term we hear a lot, but what does it actually mean for our skin?
So think of it this way. When your skin's exposed to the sun, UV radiation, it creates these unstable molecules, free radicals, and these damage our skin cells.
Right.
But PLE is packed with polyphenols,
Okay.
which act like scavengers. They go around and neutralize these free radicals.
So like PLE is intercepting that damage before it can happen.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not just talking about sunburn here. PLE, it's showing potential in protecting against deeper damage. From UV rays, damage that can lead to, premature aging, even skin cancer.
This is getting interesting. We hear so much about antioxidants. How does PLE compare to, say, the antioxidants that we get from fruits and veggies?
Well, what makes PLE unique is its concentration of certain polyphenols like caffeic and ferulic acid.
Okay.
And these are very effective at inhibiting those oxidative reactions, making PLE a bit of a powerhouse in the antioxidant world.
So it's like having a really targeted, powerful dose of those protective molecules.
Exactly. And the research is, starting to support this. One way UV radiation harms us is by causing mutations in our DNA,
Right.
which, can lead to skin cancer. But studies are showing that PLE might prevent these mutations.
Wow. So not just a sunburn, but potentially serious long-term stuff too.
Exactly. And it goes even further. UV radiation, it also weakens our skin's immune response, making us more vulnerable to infections and skin cancers. PLE seems to counteract that.
Wait, hold on. So PLE, it's like fighting off those free radicals and supporting the skin's immune system.
Yeah. It's working on multiple fronts. You see, UV radiation messes with certain parts of our immune system in the skin.
Oh, okay.
For example, there's this compound, urocanic acid, and after UV exposure, it starts to suppress the immune response.
Okay.
But PLE inhibits that process.
So it's stopping that urocanic acid from kind of backfiring on us.
Yeah, you could say that. And UV damage, it also depletes these Langerhans cells in our skin.
Okay.
And they're vital for immune surveillance. But PLE, it helps protect those cells.
So our skin can actually recognize and fight off threats better.
Right.
That's amazing. So it sounds like PLE is really giving our skin this superhero level defense boost.
Absolutely. And then there's inflammation. That redness and swelling with sunburn.
Yeah.
That's inflammation. And PLE has been shown to, to calm that down, reduce the severity.
Okay, so it's working on 3 different fronts: fighting free radicals, helping the immune system, reducing inflammation. But all these mechanisms are great, but do they actually mean real benefits? What's the research showing?
Well, that's where it gets exciting. There have been quite a few clinical trials showing that PLE does protect against sun damage. For example, one randomized placebo-controlled trial, it showed that individuals taking PLE experienced fewer sunburns.
They were sunburns.
Yes. And they had increased UV tolerance.
So does that mean people can stay out in the sun longer without burning?
They actually measured the minimal erythema dose.
The ME?
Yeah, the ME. It's the amount of UV needed to cause a sunburn. And it increased significantly in the group taking PLE.
Meaning their skin could handle more sun? Okay, that's something I could relate to.
Yeah.
Were there other studies that found something similar?
Absolutely. A study by Middlecamp Pup, it showed significant reduction in UV-induced damage in human skin. They looked at biopsies, and they found less DNA damage and fewer of those sunburn cells.
So real measurable changes.
Exactly. And because of findings like this, dermatologists are now recommending PLE as a valuable addition to traditional sunscreens.
So you're saying, like, I should be taking this PLE supplement in addition to wearing sunscreen.
Think of it as like an internal layer of protection, working from the inside out.
So it's like having a backup sunscreen on the inside. But does it actually replace sunscreen?
Not completely. While PLE isn't meant to replace sunscreen entirely, it can be, really helpful for people who are especially sun sensitive or have a high risk of skin cancer.
Okay, this is all very promising. What about like the long-term benefits? Could PLE help prevent, photoaging or skin cancer down the line?
That's a great question. And while we don't have long-term trials in humans yet, the evidence so far, it's encouraging. By preventing that cumulative UV damage, those daily insults to our skin,
Yeah.
PLA is likely to play a role in reducing the risk of both photoaging and skin cancer.
So it's about protecting from that damage that adds up over time.
Exactly, and there's more. Animal studies, they've shown that PLA actually has anti-tumor effects.
Wow.
It can reduce the formation of tumors caused by UV exposure.
That's incredible. Are there any human studies that suggest those long-term benefits?
There was a study on patients with xeroderma pigmentosum.
Okay.
It's a genetic condition. It makes them very susceptible to skin cancer. And when they added oral and topical PLE to their regimen, they developed fewer new skin cancers than expected.
Wow. It's not a controlled trial, but still, that's a pretty remarkable finding.
Right.
So PLE is not just about preventing sunburn, but also about like potentially preventing some serious issues in the future.
Yeah. And speaking of other potential benefits, let's talk about PLE's role in treating specific skin conditions like, melasma and vitiligo.
Yes, I'm very curious about that. Those are both conditions involving like changes in skin pigmentation,
Mhm.
and it's fascinating to think that PLE could, potentially help.
There's a lot of really interesting research going on. Let's start with melasma. Those dark patches, often triggered by, hormones or sun exposure.
Oh yeah, I know a few people who struggle with it, and it's tough to treat. So is there like actual evidence that PLE can help?
Well, it's not a cure-all, but PLE's antioxidant and UV protective effects, they seem to address those aggravating
So
factors.
it's not just masking the problem, it's like tackling it at the source.
Yeah, exactly. And clinical trials have shown that when you combine oral PLE with those standard melasma treatments like topical creams and things, the results they're even better.
So PLE is like working together with those therapies to boost their effect.
Yeah, think of it like that. There was one study, they added PLE to a regimen of like sunscreen and hydroquinone,
Hmm.
a common topical treatment.
Yeah.
And the group taking PLE, they saw greater reductions in their melasma severity scores.
That's promising. And what about like the safety of PLE for long-term use, especially since, melasma can be a chronic condition?
That's one of the things that makes PLE so appealing for melasma. It's generally very well tolerated, even with long-term use.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
But what about vitiligo? That's a different thing, right? Where patches of skin lose their pigment.
Yes, and it's a bit more complex. With vitiligo, it's the body's own immune system. It's attacking those pigment-producing cells, the melanocytes,
Right.
and oxidative stress and immune system dysregulation. They seem to play a role.
So melasma is like too much pigment, and vitiligo is like the loss of pigment.
Exactly, and the approaches to treatment are quite different. One common treatment for vitiligo is phototherapy, exposing the skin to controlled doses of UV light
Oh wow.
to stimulate melanocyte production and repigmentation.
That's interesting. Using UV light to treat something that can be worsened by UV exposure.
Yeah, it is, but it can be, quite effective when done right. And this is where PLE comes in. It's being studied as an adjunct to phototherapy.
An adjunct, meaning like alongside the main treatment.
Right. The idea is that by protecting melanocytes from, oxidative stress, modulating that immune response,
Yeah.
PLE might help the skin respond better to the phototherapy.
So PLE is kind of like prepping the ground for those melanocytes to come back.
Yes, and one randomized double-blind study, it found that those who got phototherapy plus PLE, they experienced significantly better repigmentation compared to those who just had phototherapy.
Wow. So there's evidence it can like boost the effectiveness of a standard treatment.
That's right. And recent research suggests that PLE might even be activating this NRF2 pathway. It's a key cellular defense against oxidative stress. And this pathway, it's thought to be protective for melanocytes.
Wow. It's incredible how a simple fern extract can have such complex effects on our skin. So we've talked about sun protection, melasma, vitiligo. Are there any other skin conditions where PLE is showing promise?
There are. Researchers are they're exploring its potential for a whole range of photoaggravated and inflammatory skin conditions. One is polymorphous light eruption, PMLE, basically a sun allergy that causes a
Oh
rash.
yeah, PMLE. I've heard of that. People who break out in like hives get super itchy in the sun.
Exactly. And it can be, pretty rough for some people. But remember how PLE reduces UV-induced immunosuppression and
Right.
inflammation?
Yeah.
Well, those mechanisms, they seem to help prevent those PMLE flares.
It's calming down that overreaction to the sunlight.
Exactly. In one study, they exposed patients with PMLE to UV light before and after taking PLE. And after taking PLE, a significant number of them, they no longer developed the rash.
Wow.
And for those who did still react, it took a lot more UV exposure to trigger it.
That's impressive. So it's either preventing the reaction altogether or like desensitizing the skin. This could be a real game changer for people with PMLE.
It really could be, and dermatologists are recommending that some patients start taking PLE before sunny seasons, like as a preventative measure.
Yeah.
And there are also some case reports suggesting that high doses of PLE can improve solar urticaria. That's another condition where people get hives at or sun exposure.
So PLE is giving people, who really struggle with these sun-related issues, a new level of hope.
Yes. And there's also growing interest in PLE's potential to reduce the side effects of medical phototherapy, like PUVA, where they use UV light to treat things like psoriasis.
So it's like a safety net for people who need those treatments but are worried about the side effects.
Exactly. Clinical observations suggest that PLE can protect against PUVA-induced phototoxicity, allowing patients to continue treatment with fewer complications. And it's not just limited to PUVA. PLE's protective effects, they could benefit anyone undergoing, therapeutic UV exposure, even those receiving phototherapy for vitiligo.
We've covered so much here, from sun protection to pigmentation issues to phototherapy. I'm curious, is there any research on PLE for atopic dermatitis and
Yep.
eczema?
That's a great question. There is some interesting research in that area. While PLE isn't a replacement for standard eczema treatments, some evidence suggests it can, provide additional benefit.
What kind of benefits are we talking about?
Well, one clinical trial involved children with atopic dermatitis, and those who took PLE, in addition to their regular treatment, they needed to use oral antihistamines on fewer days.
So PLE was helping with the itch, which is, a major problem for people with eczema.
Right. It suggests that PLE might have anti-inflammatory effects that could help manage symptoms. And importantly, there were no significant side effects reported in the study, even in these young children.
That's really good to hear.
Okay.
What about psoriasis? I know it's another inflammatory skin condition. Is PLE being studied for that?
Well, PLE has a history of, traditional use for psoriasis, and early studies they hinted at potential benefits, probably due to its, anti-inflammatory properties.
Right.
But psoriasis it's complex, and we have, more potent systemic medications available now. So PLE hasn't really taken center stage in psoriasis treatment.
So not a frontline therapy, but maybe helpful as an add-on to other treatments.
It's possible, and we can't, rule out that future research might uncover new ways to utilize PLE for psoriasis.
Right.
But for now, the focus is on those other areas where the evidence is stronger.
That makes sense. So we've explored a lot of potential applications for PLE, from protecting against sun damage to potentially managing different skin conditions. I'm curious though, is PLE always taken orally, or are there other ways to use it?
That's a great question. PLE is available in both oral and topical formulations, and both have shown efficacy.
So you can take it as a pill or apply it like as a cream. What are the pros and cons of each?
Well, oral PLE supplements, they're the most widely studied, and they offer that systemic, whole body protection that we've been talking about. They're convenient, easy to take, and they protect all of your skin, which is essential for conditions like PMLE.
Right. So for overall protection, a supplement would be the way to go.
Yes. And for photoprotection, a common effective dose is 480 milligrams daily, often taken, in 2 capsules.
So it sounds like taking PLE could become a daily routine, kind of like a multivitamin for your skin.
That's a great analogy. And this oral form of PLE, it's what's, behind that oral sunscreen idea that we talked about.
Right, but you did say that PLE shouldn't replace traditional sunscreen, right?
Absolutely. Sunscreen is, it's still your first line of defense. Think of PLE as providing an additional layer of support, working from the inside out.
Got it. So what about topical PLE? How is that used?
Well, topical PLE formulations, like creams and lotions, they deliver those antioxidants directly to the skin.
So if you have a specific area of concern, like, I don't know, a melasma patch, maybe a topical PLE cream would make sense.
Exactly. And studies have shown that that topical PLE, when applied before sun exposure, it can reduce, markers of DNA damage and inflammation in the skin.
So topical PLE can, offer real protection, too.
Yeah.
Is it ever used in combination with sunscreen?
Yes, it's often used as an adjunct to rather than a replacement for sunscreen. And some sunscreens actually incorporate PLE into their formulas to boost their antioxidant capacity.
It sounds like you've got options with PLE, both internally and externally. But I want to touch on safety. We've talked about all the potential benefits, but is it safe to use, in the long run?
One of the most remarkable things about PLE is its safety profile. Both short-term and long-term studies, they've shown it to be very well tolerated.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
But are there any side effects at all?
Side effects are very rare, and when they do occur, they're usually mild. Things like a little gastrointestinal upset, some itching, dryness, and these are typically, self-limiting.
So nothing serious. What about with long-term use? Any risk of toxicity?
There's no evidence of organ toxicity associated with PLE. Even at high doses, studies, haven't shown any negative impact on liver or kidney function.
Okay, that's great to hear. But what about specific populations like children or pregnant women?
Well, studies have shown that PLE is safe for use in children, and there was even a 6-month trial in children with atopic dermatitis, and there were no safety concerns. But unfortunately, there haven't been clinical trials on PLE use during pregnancy or breastfeeding.
So, like with many things, best to err on the side of caution during pregnancy and breastfeeding. What about interactions with other medications?
PLE isn't known to have any significant drug interactions. Of course, it's always best to consult your doctor about any supplements you're taking, especially if you're on other medications. But so far, there haven't been any red flags with PLE.
This is all really helpful. It seems like PLE is a safe and well tolerated option for a wide range of people. But I have to ask, with all the different PLE products out there, how do you know which one to choose?
That's an important question. Not all PLE supplements are, created equal. There can be significant variations in quality and standardization.
So what should people look for when choosing a PLE product?
Look for high-quality products that have been, researched and backed by science. Choose brands that have conducted clinical trials and have published their findings, in reputable journals.
Are there any specific brands you recommend?
Well, Heliocare, which uses the fern block PLE extract, is it's considered the gold standard. It's been the most extensively studied, and there's a wealth of evidence supporting its efficacy and safety. It's often recommended by dermatologists for a reason.
So when it comes to PLE, Heliocare is the brand that's really been through the ringer, so to speak. But with all this talk about PLE's potential, what's next? What are scientists most excited about in terms of future research?
Oh, there's a lot in the pipeline. For one, scientists are, they really want to do those long-term studies to see if regular PLE use can actually, reduce the chances of developing those precancerous skin lesions like actinic keratoses and skin cancer, especially in those who are already at high risk.
Right.
We also need more research to confirm if PLE can actually, slow down those visible signs of aging from sun exposure.
So you're saying taking PLE might not just protect our skin today, but could help us look younger years down the road.
It's definitely possible, and researchers are looking into that. There's also a lot of interest in finding ways to optimize how PLE is delivered,
Yeah.
into the body. Scientists are experimenting with things like liposomal PLE.
Great boson.
Yeah, it encapsulates the extract in these tiny fat bubbles.
Oh, interesting.
And sustained release formulations to,
Okay.
enhance absorption, maybe make it even more effective.
So they're like fine-tuning how it gets into our system to make sure it's really doing its job.
Exactly. And there's also excitement around exploring combination therapies. Could PLE work together with other antioxidants or even certain medications to give like even greater benefits?
Yeah.
For example, there are already products that combine PLE with nicotinamide.
Nicotinamide.
Yeah, also known as vitamin B3, which has shown some promising results in skin cancer prevention.
So PLE could be like a team player, boosting the effects of other things.
Right, and we're really just scratching the surface here. There's growing interest in PLE's effects beyond just UV protection.
Really?
Yeah, like we've talked about its potential for visible light and pollution protection, but there's so much more to explore.
So PLE might be a multitasker, protecting us from more than just the sun.
Yeah, that's the idea, and that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Because of its anti-inflammatory and immune modulating effects, researchers are they're curious if PLE might even help with conditions beyond just skin health,
Oh, nice.
like lupus or other inflammatory diseases.
So PLE might have implications for our whole body potentially.
The research is, it's still early, but the potential is there. Of course, there's also, ongoing research into exactly how PLE works. At the molecular level,
Right.
the more we understand those mechanisms, the better we'll be able to, to harness its full power.
It is fascinating to think that this extract from a fern could have so many possibilities for human health. It really shows how nature can hold really powerful solutions, and it highlights the importance of research in unlocking those secrets.
I couldn't agree more. The more we learn about these natural compounds like PLE, the more we realize how much potential they have for improving our health and well-being.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of PLE. We've learned that it offers this unique approach to skin health, working from the inside out, and it's backed by science. It's not just hype, and its safety profile makes it a really good option for long-term use. Who knew a tropical fern could be so powerful?
It really is a testament to the power of nature and the ingenuity of scientific exploration, and with ongoing research, we're likely to discover even more fascinating applications for PLE.
Well, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this research. A huge thanks to you for guiding us through this deep dive into PLE. And for our listeners, be sure to check out the show notes for links to some of those studies we talked about. And until next time, keep diving deep.